a toxic masculinity. And I will say to you that there is such a thing. Many people would say, no, there's no such thing as toxic masculinity. There most definitely is, even in the church.
So I'll get right into it. So the first question is, can a Christian be a feminist? And how can we think biblically about feminism? Can a Christian be a feminist? And how can we think biblically about feminism?
Well, I like the way that's been phrased, because I think you've got to look at it, feminist and the biblical side of it. So, obviously, the simple answer is yes, you can be a feminist and be a Christian from the perspective if it's not a saving issue. We are not saved by grace through faith and being a complementarian or something like that. You know, that's not added on there. But having said that, I will say that feminism, and there's so many different shades of it, but the kind of feminism that is anti-male, that is male-phobic, if you like, wants nothing to do with any form of masculinity whatsoever. It completely emasculates men, will not have and does not want men in any form of leadership positions of power or authority or anything like that. That kind of feminism is unbiblical. And it's also destructive. It's not good. So even in churches where you see it raising its head, in denominations where it's raising its head, so you're having to appoint bishops and elders and pastors and so on to, as women, appoint them into those positions, what you will find is basically it causes a destruction in the church. I would put it, show me a example of a female bishop or elder or pastor or whatever it might be, and I'll show you a church that's wandering off of the gospel. Eventually that'll be gone. So it's not helpful, and it's destructive, that kind of anti-male feminism. It's toxic feminism. However, let me say that a lot of the feminism that you see, and within the church, particularly in the church, has been a reaction to a toxic masculinity. And I will say to you that there is such a thing. Many people would say, no, there's no such thing as toxic masculinity. There most definitely is, even in the church. And so there have been many men, leaders, and we know them, the famous names, often over and over we get these things, even just very recently, instances of men who have been enabled to be misogynistic and really be abusive towards women in the church, where these men have regarded women as being simply chattels. They are servants, they are slaves, they are possessions for you to use and even abuse in many respects. And in so many churches, sadly, and situations, that has been covered up, and it is disgusting. And we need a voice that stands up for the woman in that situation to say, hold on a moment, women are co-heirs of grace with men. They are co-bearers of the image of God, the Imago Dei. We are created male and female in his image. Women and men are equal in value, equal in intellect, equal in every single way to men. And we as the churches should be standing on that and proclaiming that. But being equal doesn't mean being the same. We are different. God has created us complementary. And so it was not good for man to be alone. So God creates a helpmeet for the man in the woman. And right the way through Scripture, you've got women who are doing the most amazing things. You know, you think of Zipporah, who basically steps into the gap when Moses is actually not obeying the covenant. And there are many of those kinds of instances that are there. So, yes, women are equal to men in every way, but they're not the same, which then means that there are certain roles within the home and within the church that are reserved for males. Male headship in the home, male headship in the church. And that shouldn't surprise us, because the church is the household of God. And where you try and overturn that, then you are in trouble. But that must never allow men to be abusive towards the woman. And so we need a voice that says, no, wait a minute, those men are being out of line in the situation. But for any kind of feminism that says we want no males in any role of leadership or anything like that, that emasculates men, that kind of feminism is not biblical, it's not helpful, and it's